Okay, so you've been at medical school for a hot minute now and you're starting to realize that it is a lot. And whether you've been at medical school for a couple of weeks, days, months, years, okay, I'm sure you guys have stumbled across this feeling of overwhelm because there is just so much to take in and so little brain space. And there's a lot out there that is actually designed to help medical students, and I hope I can break that down throughout this video. I'm going to be breaking down 10 plus resources I found useful throughout medical school and resources that you should know about before it gets too late. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's get into the mix of things. I'm going to split this video up into 3 sections. I'm going to be talking about resources that have been so useful to me in the preclinical phase. Then I'm going to graduate to resources that have really shaped my clinical knowledge, my clinical understanding of diseases and conditions, which are useful in years 3, 4, and 5. And then the other resources at the end are split into 2 types: resources that are really useful for people who love taking notes, and then resources that are more tailored to people who are flashcard makers. Let's get into the thick of it. In the preclinical phase, my resources are broken down into explainer videos, quiz banks, and anatomy resources. So in explainer videos, I do know that there is a lot out there, but my top 2 YouTubers are Ninja Nerd, 100%, and Osmosis. Okay, so those 2 channels single-handedly will provide you with a lot of understanding and knowledge on the anatomy, physiology, the pathophysiology of medical conditions across the main specialties of medicine. And Osmosis has an app and a question bank as well, so you can flick back and forth and really find out what your learning style is. But really understanding the condition by going to these videos, watching their tutorials, watching how they've broken down and explained the videos is really, really useful, and I found it helpful when I was starting out as well. In terms of quiz banks, PassMed, QuesMed, and Amboss are 3 of the most powerful question banks out there. There's also PassTest as well. These question banks are just basically really helpful in actually understanding how the questions in your exam will look like. In terms of Pass Medicine, I use that the most. You want to be using the PassMed version that says years 1 to 3, and that allows you to understand the conditions, the pathophysiology, the etiology, the genetic causes, all of those things that are useful in the preclinical phases of medicine. Both QuesMed, PassMed, and I think Amboss as well have their own textbooks that come along with these applications. Basically allows you to get a good explanation of why you didn't get something right in the first place. So my 3rd subcategory in the preclinical phase is actually anatomy resources, and I actually really loved anatomy. Anatomy is something that I didn't hear a lot of people talking about resources that were useful for them, but I feel like this is something that is so important. So my top anatomy resource is actually this 3D interactive anatomy resource called Complete Anatomy, and it has an app that they provide you with this 3D anatomy structure, and it basically allows you to even strip down the human body to just one muscle, or just the nervous system, or just the arteries, or just the veins in the body, and it's so amazing. So I definitely recommend Complete Anatomy. I also recommend Ackland's Anatomy. Mr. Ackland is someone who's basically done live sessions with cadavers, and he posts them up into his website and his YouTube channel as well, and it just provides you that understanding of how the cadaver operates. He isolates each muscle group. If you're learning about muscles, if you're learning about structures, he does that as well. He helps you with understanding the human body and what actually is underneath the skin. Just a quick add-on to the anatomy resources section. I completely forgot to mention that one of the most amazing websites which is available out there for you guys to use in terms of anatomy is a website called teachmeanatomy.com. This website is amazing. It's chock full of images, useful explanations, and really simple to understand breakdowns of the anatomical structures in the body. It also provides you with simple explanations of things like the vasculature, the lymph structures around a particular organ. It's really good in explaining that nitty-gritty detail, and so I really found it helpful. Just wanted to add that before we move on to the next part of the video. So those are my resources that I used in the preclinical phase. Now in the clinical phase, the resources that I used are split into notes, OSCEs, question banks, and UK guidelines. So in terms of notes, there are three websites that I've been recommended. My first is Zero to Finals, my second is Pulse Notes, and my third is StatMed. So Zero to Finals provides notes in each section of medical school, plus there's also podcasts on most of the topics. So if you get tired of reading, you can literally listen to the person who makes these notes actually speak through the conditions that he's basically talked about. Pulse Notes and StatMed are the same concept as, Zero to Finals. They provide it in subcategories as well of investigations, management, etiology, understanding how the condition works. But it's just great having these websites out there so that you can literally just take these notes as they are. If you're a flashcard maker, you can summarize them into flashcards and you can have the information right when you want them, okay? So my next category of resources in the clinical phase is actually revising for OSCEs in your clinical examinations. My favorite out of all the resources out there is actually Geeky Medics. It will always be Geeky Medics. They have notes, they have videos on clinical examinations, how to take investigations, all of the things which are examinable. They just have a detailed explanation of what to do, how to start the session, how to end the session. They've taught me so much in terms of how to do a detailed history, gastro exam, cardio exam, resp exam. Like, it's mad how useful Geeky Medics has been throughout first, second, and third year. So question banks wise, for the clinical phase, Past Medicine has a finals edition, which is very helpful because now you're in the stage of learning more about the investigations and management of each conditions. So that is going to be very helpful for the clinical phase, as opposed to medicine years 1 to 3, which is what you would be using in the preclinical phase when you're using PassMed. In terms of other question banks like Ambros and QuestMed, we talked about them beforehand, but they're also immensely useful as well. Just choose the ones that you can work well with. In terms of my final category of resources in the clinical phase, it's UK guidelines. UK guidelines are amazing. Okay, first of all, let's not undercut them. They're actually really good. The NICE guidelines actually provide up-to-date knowledge and understanding of management, especially pharmacology. Your understanding of pharmacology needs to be up to date. So NICE CKS provide neat summaries. They're specific to the NHS guidelines. They're updated regularly, and they're kind of important if you want to know more detailed understanding of the management of the condition. Then you've also got the clinical pathways in NICE guidelines, which is literally an interactive mind map, which has like each step of investigation and management, and it provides basically different pathways depending on how the patient presents, if they're doing really well, if the investigations come back negative, what happens if the investigations come back positive, what do you do then, what's the next step in your approach. So it literally provides you with that detailed approach to understanding how to take care of this patient. The BNF, of course, amazing. Like, who would I be if I didn't talk about the BNF? It provides you that up-to-date information on drugs, indications, dosing requirements as well. I don't have great understanding of a lot of the pharmacology resources that are out there, but I can hopefully do a video on pharmacology resources if you guys will find that useful as well. Okay, so the last section of my video is split between resources for note takers and resources for flashcard makers. If you actually like taking physical notes, then a great website for you guys to check out is called the Matthieu Club. It's a website that provides blank templates for your notes, and the medical notes I've seen are really good. Like, they're really aesthetically pleasing as well. Like, I would definitely recommend you guys to check that out if you are wondering how to structure your notes and you want to have like a template to do so. Then you can order some of their templates from the Matthieu Club. Some of the other like interactive sites, like I mentioned, on Notion, OneNote, Notable is great. Audio Note as well. It will transcribe lectures into notes for you, like whilst you're in the lecture as well. So that is amazing. If you hate notes and you love flashcards, then your number one is going to be Anki, because this is the most powerful flashcard tool I think that is available on the internet. Anki is amazing because it actually allows you to make your own flashcards, but if you have a group of you in medical school who just want to share flashcards between each other, then you can actually also do that as well. If you don't have your own decks and you just want to see what other people have made up there, there are public pre-made decks on anatomy, on physiology and stuff like that, so you can actually go ahead and see flashcards other people have made, and you can actually just use their flashcards if you don't want to make your own flashcards as well. So I hope this has been a comprehensive overlook onto the medical resources that I have found useful all throughout medical school. I mean, the part of medical school that I've gone through. I'm also very open to seeing and understanding what resources work for you guys as well. So I would love if you guys comment down below what is working for you, and I will definitely take notes. This has been Fejiro Talks, and I will catch you guys on the very next video.